your wedding dress." He opened the door. "Father," I said, ignoring the throb in my wrist and my tingling fingers. He turned to face me. "Don't you wish to lock me in?" He looked at me as if I were a simpleton. "On a ship? Where are you going to go?" Where was I to go? There was no escape. I had 3 hours. Then I was going to be Mrs. Abel Atherton. Chapter 2. Andrew. "I didn't think there were others like us," I said, glancing briefly at Robert, my closest friend and traveling companion, then to the men who were playing poker with us. "I'll take 2. I tossed down my worthless cards and was dealt the replacements, which, when I added them to my hand, weren't any better. "Others like you? You mean men who claim a woman together?" Whitmore Kane, a fancy English lord, sat relaxed in his chair, a cigar clamped between his fingers. For all of his fancy upbringing, he was now a soldier who'd abandoned his post, along with the other 3 men who sat around the table with us. Abandoning your post was a dishonorable action in the military, one Robert and I could not tolerate. But these men had reasons. Serious and tenuous reasons. Kane, along with Ian Brodie and Mason, had all been stationed together as a part of an English regiment in Mohermere, a small country near Egypt. "We'd imagined we were the only ones," Robert murmured. While there were other men in the ship's card room, none were paying us any mind. "While it's not unusual where you've been stationed in Mohermere, we're American. Unless a whore's up for a little extra fun, it isn't done. British customs are perhaps far worse," Kane added, tipping his cigar's ashes into an ashtray. "I was supposed to marry Clara Dunsworth Day, daughter of the 3rd Earl of Arundel. I assure you, she would not have been thrilled to see Ian waiting in the bridal suite." Ian grinned. "Aye, that lass was a wee bit frigid, and I dinna want a better, let alone cherish her my entire life. She wasna for us." Ian tilted his head toward Kane. "We'll find her. Kane and I will know her right off," Ian said, nodding his head. He sobered. "Whether you wanted to marry that frigid British lass or not, whether she liked a good fucking by 2 brawny men, it was taken out of our hands by Evers." I arched a brow at Ian's dark tone, for that name was new to me. By the look on Robert's face, he had not heard it either. "Evers was our commanding officer. He killed an innocent Mohammedan family and shifted the blame to Ian." Kane tilted his head in his friend's direction. "Since a Scot is not well loved in England, and a fair trial a slim chance, I chose to flee the country," Ian added. "The alternative, being hanged, wasn't an option." Kane tossed in a coin. I couldn't imagine how I'd feel if Robert were framed for a heinous crime. I'd protect him with my life. I'd go to another country and start over again, just as they were. "We hear the West has plenty of land, and that the mountains are so tall they touch the clouds," Ian added. Robert shrugged. "I have heard that as well. I'm from Virginia and Andrew's from Pennsylvania. Neither of us have been far from the eastern seaboard. The Montana Territory is where we will settle," Kane said. "We will ranch, an American term, and we will call it Bridgewater. Back to your comment, lads. Nay, you are not the only ones who will claim a bride together. We will embrace the Mohammedan custom as well." Ian looked to Kane, and then Mason pointed between Brodie and himself. Robert and I were on the ship with these men, sailing out of Portugal. We were returning to the United States after being stationed in Egypt for 2 years, finishing the last of our own time in the service. We'd had our last orders and were ready to be free of command. We'd find that place to call home, claim the bride who would share it with us. We've spent years in Mohammedan, appreciating their custom of more than one man marrying a woman. But what's your reasoning? Kane asked. Andrew and I, we've known each other since the U.S. war between the states. Over 15 years had passed since we fought together. Just like you Brits, we've seen good men die, their widows left homeless and penniless, their children begging for food. This is not something we could subject a woman to.